that stupid patch.
Her name was Salma, 15 years old, quiet, different. To the world, she was just the girl with one eye, but what they never understood was that her silence was filled with pain. She lived at the edge of a small town, in a broken house, with the only person she had left, her grandmother. No parents, no answers, just a past that no one ever explained, and a wound that changed everything. That morning, the sun rose over the small African town like it always did. But for her, nothing ever felt normal. She walked slowly toward the school gate, not because she was late, but because every step felt heavier than the last. Behind her, whispers began before she even entered. As soon as she stepped inside, the noise of the school didn't stop. It changed. Whispers replaced laughter. Eyes followed her like shadows. But she didn't look back, because she already knew what they were thinking. She walked through the corridor like she was invisible. But somehow, everyone still saw her. Every step echoed in silence. Not a single word was spoken loudly, but the judgment was deafening. The moment she entered the classroom, everything paused for a second. Pencils stopped moving, voices stopped mid-sentence, and all eyes turned toward her again. She didn't say anything. She simply walked to her usual seat, the one in the very back corner. She always sat there, not because she liked it, but because no one ever chose to sit with her. The empty seat beside her was louder than any insult. "They say she never removes it," one voice whispered. "Maybe she can't see properly." Another laughed. But no one dared to ask her directly, because something about her silence made people uncomfortable. She felt it. That same question, again and again, not spoken but felt. What is she hiding? And the truth was, no one in that room was ready for the answer. Slowly, she raised her hand, not to speak, not to fight, but to adjust the one thing that defined her life, the eye patch. And in that moment, the classroom didn't just watch her. They waited for something they couldn't understand yet. The teacher was speaking, but for Salma, all the voices had faded. Her eyes were on the board, but her pain was sitting behind her in that classroom. A small piece of paper was moving from bench to bench like a secret everyone already knew, except her. Then it stopped, right in front of her. Salma looked at it, but her hand didn't move immediately, as if her heart already knew what it was going to say. She slowly opened the paper and saw a drawing, a face with only one eye. Under it was written, "Monster." Her fingers tightened, but no tears came. No, not here. She never cried in front of them. "Salma!" The teacher's voice stopped everything. "Come to the board." She stood up and began to walk. Each step felt like a test she didn't ask for. Everyone was watching. Everyone was judging. The question was simple. She knew the answer. But her mind was empty, as if everything had left her, the same way she lost her eye. First one laughed, then another, then the whole class. No one was silent anymore. They were laughing at her, her face, her silence, and something they never understood, her truth. She walked back to her seat without saying a word, just like always. But today, something inside her had broken. The bell rang. But for Salma, nothing really ended. Students rushed out laughing, as if nothing had happened. But she stayed, still, silent. The classroom slowly emptied, until it was just her, and the silence felt louder than the laughter before. She looked at the paper again. That one word, monster, it echoed inside her mind, again and again. For the first time, her strength began to crack, not outside, but deep inside. She stood up and walked out, not running, not hiding, just leaving. But outside, they were waiting. like they always did. "Why do you even come to school?" one of them said. "Trying to scare us every day? Or maybe," she smirked, "there's nothing behind that patch at all." For a second, everything stopped. Her heartbeat, louder than their voices. Her hand slowly moved upward, not in fear, not this time. "Enough!" A voice cut through the moment, sharp, powerful. Everything froze again. They walked away, all laughing again, as if nothing mattered. But something had changed, not in them, in her. For years, she stayed silent. She hid. She endured. But now, something inside her whispered, "Enough." The road home was quiet, but her thoughts were not. Every word, every laugh, still followed her. Then suddenly, something felt different. Not around her, but inside her. A sharp pain, right behind the patch, stronger than anything she had ever felt before. And then, for a split second, she saw something, a flash, a memory that wasn't supposed to exist. Her bag slipped, her breath shook. Something buried for years was trying to come back. She tried to stand still, but her body refused to listen. Something inside her was breaking open. Voices not from outside, but from somewhere deep inside her memory. A cry, soft, fragile, like a child, calling for help. Glass shattering into pieces, a loud crash followed by silence. Then, figures moving closer, not to help, but to destroy. A scream, loud, painful, and then everything disappeared. She gasped, back in the present, breathing fast, heart racing. That wasn't imagination, that was a memory. Her memory. She stood in front of her home, but it no longer felt like home. Something had changed inside her. Her grandmother looked at her, not as a child anymore, but as something fragile that might break soon. No words were spoken, but the silence was heavier than anything before. "Grandma!" Her voice was soft but different. "I saw something today." The grandmother froze, like her soul had been caught in that one sentence. For the first time, her grandmother did not answer quickly. The truth fall was starting to crack. Salma didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. The truth she was chasing was now chasing her back. The night came slowly, but peace did not come with it. Salma sat outside, and for the first time, she felt watched by her own past. Her grandmother stood behind her, but she wasn't standing strong anymore. She was shaking, as if something invisible was breaking her from inside. And suddenly, her mind showed her something she never remembered clearly before. Not words, not faces, but pain. Salma whispered a name her grandmother had never allowed her to speak. And that silence was louder than any answer. For the first time, her grandmother didn't avoid her eyes. And what came out was not a full truth, but the edge of one. "Some truths," her grandmother whispered, "are not meant to protect you, but to prepare you." And that night, the wind carried a warning. The truth was no longer hiding. It was waking up. The morning arrived, but nothing felt normal anymore. Even the light felt like it was hiding something. A car returned again, but this time, it did not bring questions. It brought a decision. Her grandmother held her hand tighter than ever before, as if letting go meant losing her forever. But Salma was no longer just a child being protected. She was becoming the truth itself. The city was different, too clean, too silent for the kind of truth it was hiding, and Salma realized this was not a visit, this was a confrontation. The room was silent, but what they found inside her eye was louder than any courtroom. The final piece was ready to speak. The moment had finally come. The truth inside her eye was now in their hands. The operating room was silent, except for the sound of machines breathing for her. Doctors moved carefully, step by step, as if even a single mistake and could change everything. Her eye, once filled with pain, was now the center of a fragile mission. Every second mattered, every movement was controlled. The past, the secrets, the truth, everything was hidden beneath layers of healing tissue. And now, they were about to uncover it. No one spoke, no one rushed, because in that room, they weren't just treating an eye, they were trying to recover a truth that had been buried for years. And as the surgery began, the silence became heavier than fear. And finally, the operation was completed, slowly, carefully. The doctors removed the bandage. The room went silent. Salma blinked. For the first time in years, she could see the world without darkness covering her truth. A soft smile appeared on her face, not because everything in life became perfect, but because she survived it. She turned toward the doctors and said quietly, "Thank you." Then she looked at her grandmother and held her hand tightly. That evening, they walked back home together, but something had changed forever. The fear was gone. Only peace remained. The next morning, Salma went back to school, but this time, she was not the same girl anymore. She walked through the gate and everything stopped. The same students who once laughed now couldn't believe their eyes. She looks different. She looks strong. She looks free. But Salma didn't stop. She just walked forward. She was once laughed at, hidden, and broken in the eyes of others. But life had another plan. It didn't just heal her eye. It revealed her strength. And now Salma knew one truth. You are never defined by what breaks you, but by what you become after it. They laughed at her story until they learned the truth. If you felt this, like, share, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning.